Good morning, students, and welcome to Law Excellence. You know that we have recently concluded UPSC CSC 2025, and I am Yashwanth Kumar, who is dealing with Sociology optional in Law Excellence. And today I'm going to discuss a recently concluded Sociology optional paper 1. So if you look at the paper 1 questions, most of the questions are easy to moderate and most of the questions are strictly limited to syllabus. There is no question out of syllabus and most of the questions are actually reflecting previous year question pattern. And if you look at all the questions, all the 8 questions, except one 20 marker question, all the questions are writable. I mean, easily writable. It is easy for the people who have spent considerable amount of time on this subject and who have clarity of the concepts. Not required mastery over any of these concepts, you just need clarity of thought in all these concepts. And you can perform better and you can also write good answers if you follow the established pattern of answer writing with the basic introduction, the body of knowledge which includes perspectives of sociology and the sociological conclusions. And nothing much is required to write this particular paper. Okay, and next, so if you look at the paper, so the first question, and you know the pattern of the asking or pattern of writing these answers in optional. You have to write 5 questions. You have to write 5 questions out of 8 questions. Out of 8 questions, in that the first question and 5th question are mandatory questions. First question and 5th question are mandatory questions. And from each section you have to write 1 question. From each section you have to write other than 1st and 5th. From each question you have to write 1 more question, so that the 2 questions are mandatory in each section and 1 question is a choice from either of the sections. You can write 1 question from either of the section A or section B. This is what the pattern of optional exam. And next, so next is that look at the questions. Look at the questions. Section A, the mandatory 5 mandatory questions. Generally, UPSC is known to give difficult questions in mandatory questions. Difficult questions in mandatory questions. But this time, fortunately, almost all 5 questions or mandatory questions are easy. That means anyone who has the basic understanding of the subject can handle these 5 questions or the mandatory questions. And look at the first question, what is common sense and how are common sense knowledge and sociology related to each other? This is a foundational and easy question and it's been repeated not once, it's been repeated for almost last 15-20 years. Again and again, the same question is being asked again and again. Okay, and it's easy question, and I'll come to that explanation part. Just understand the pattern of this question. And second question is also from the first chapter. This is first time in the UPSC history that the first chapter, first 2 questions are from the first chapter. So first question, what is common sense and how are common sense knowledge and sociology related to each other? And second question is what is the relationship, similarities and differences between sociology and history in terms of their area of study and methodology. This is from one concept, one chapter, first chapter, and you got 2 questions from the first chapter in mandatory part, the mandatory first question. And the third question is what is a variable in social research, what are their different types, elaborate. And fourth question, can Merton's reference group theory be relevant in understanding identity making in digital world? Explain. And to explain all these things, I have categorized these questions into chapter wise so that you can understand the trend of these questions and you can understand where you have to concentrate or where you have to focus more for the 2026 exam, and how to prioritize your preparation can be understood from that the segregation of all these questions into chapter wise. Just we will look at this all these questions from the chapter wise. So I have categorized all paper 1 questions into chapter wise. So you look at, we have, that we have in the paper 1 we have 10 chapters. Have categorized all questions into this chapter wise framework. So what is common sense and how are common sense knowledge and sociology related to each other? So, and if you look at the question making pattern, the first chapter you got 30 marks from the first chapter and you got 40 marks from the second chapter, and here 10 marks are variable. 10 marks are variable that this 10 marks can be added into extra 10 marks can be added into second chapter or the fourth chapter, and I'll come to that discussion part. Okay, so first you understand the marking pattern in this particular marking pattern in the exam. Okay, so the sociology is a science. You got 40 marks from the second chapter, 50 marks from the research methods and analysis. This is very, very important chapter, and recent days, in last 5 years, we have been experiencing that the third chapter you are getting more than 50 marks every time. This is very, very important. This is very, very important that you have to remember for the next year's preparation. Okay, and next, sociological thinkers, you got around 60 marks, and here 10 marks are variable that one question can be added as a part of chapter 2, or it can also be understood from the sociological thinkers chapter. And next is fifth chapter, stratification and mobility. This is also important chapter. You got 40 marks from this stratification and mobility. 40 marks from stratification and mobility. Okay, and then the work and economic life, you got only 2 10 marks questions, that is 20 marks from the works and economic life. And politics and society, the 7th chapter, very, very important chapter, and recent days UPSC is giving now more number of questions on this politics and society. The political dimension of the society has been a very important dimension in the society, because the power is a major source of the society. So UPSC is also asking similar questions. The pattern of the UPSC questions is based upon the increasing importance or relevance for the power dynamics in the society. So politics and society, you got 70 marks from one chapter. It's hardly around 50 to 60 pages of the content. You got 70 marks from one chapter. And next, religion and society, you got around 10 marks. And here there is one more question in the thinkers part that is also based on the religious concept. But still, that the religion and society, the direct question is only one question from the religion and society. And next, the 9th chapter, that systems of kinship. This is also very important because systems of kinship is there in both paper 1 and paper 2. Politics and society is also there in both paper 1 and paper 2. And together, paper 1 and paper 2, you get around more than 120 marks from just politics and society. And systems of kinship, you get around 90 to 100 marks from systems of kinship from both papers. This is very, very important observation you have to make. And by with the understanding of this marking pattern, you can focus. You can strategize your preparation, way to focus, and way to spend less time. This is what that is what the purpose of discussing this paper. Okay, and next, social change in modern society, you got around 30 marks from this last chapter. So this, if you understand the pattern, the politics and society has major weightage. Politics and society, research methodologies, systems of kinship, sociological theories, and stratification chapter, it was given important weightage by the UPSC. So from these chapters, from all of these 5 chapters, the 50%, it is generally 50% of the syllabus, but this 50% of the syllabus has given you more than 250 marks. That means, it means more than 80% of this paper is composed of these 5 chapters. Okay, this is an important trend you have to understand. Important trend you have to understand. And now you understand the questions. So now we'll discuss the questions, answers for these questions. So what is common sense and how are common sense knowledge and sociology related to each other? This is a foundational question, and every aspirant or 99% of the aspirants who have just attended the classes knows about this answer. You know what is common sense? It's a recurrent knowledge. It's a commonsensical knowledge that you have generated from your daily life, and that knowledge is different from the sociology because everyone has a common sense knowledge, but sociology is different, which is a systematic and scientific understanding of the society. And common sense provides a base for the sociological understanding of the society. That means it's a root cause for the hypothesis building, and common sense knowledge provides our basic understanding of the society. So here both are complementing each other. However, how you have to write the perspectives in it. Everyone knows about what is common sense, and everyone knows about what is sociology, and the difference between sociology and the common sense all aspirants knows. But how to build that narrative of these perspectives, that is important. Here the narrative has to be built around positivists and anti-positivists. The positivists argue that the common sense knowledge has no role in sociology. Common sense knowledge is just common sense, and it has no role at all in the sociology, according to positivists like Auguste Comte and Emile Durkheim. But anti-positivists are the critical theories of positivists like Harold Garfinkel and Alfred Skutch, and these people argue that there is no place for the common sense knowledge. There is high place for the common sense knowledge in the sociology. Positivists argues that there is no place for the common sense knowledge in the sociology, but non-positivists argue that common sense knowledge is the foundation for the sociological understanding of the society. Without interpretation of the basic or micro aspects of the society, you cannot understand the society. That is what the anti-positivist argument is. Okay. And the second question, in what way? That means here the first question, what makes this answer unique in all answers is that how you narrate a story, or how you narrate the relation between common sense and sociology using the perspectives, not just differentiating what is common sense and sociological knowledge. And next, in what way is the scope of sociology unique? Explain. And this question, this is also the basic question. So we have the scope of sociology understood from 2 perspectives. One is formal school of thought, and second one is synthetic school of thought. And here the uniqueness can be understood from the synthesis of multiple dimensions of the society. Sociology studies multiple dimensions of the society, unlike political science, which studies only political aspects of the society, anthropology, which studies the primitive aspects of the society, and the culture is dominant in the particular subject, and economic studies only economic behavior of the society. And if you compare, or if you understand the sociology scope, that means it is a synthesis of multiple disciplines of the society. It explains multiple aspects of the society in one discipline or one subject matter of the society. That is sociology unique in its scope, and this scope can be explained using formal school of thought, which was supported by George Simmel and von Weiss and also the Max Weber. And this formal school argues that we have to limit the sociology to only formal aspects of society. But the synthetic school argues that we cannot build a subject knowledge at the discipline of sociology with a just formal understanding or formal relations of the society. We need to understand the multiple disciplines, and we have to take different things from the different subjects for better understanding of the society. So synthetic school argues that it's synthesis of multiple disciplines, and there is nothing wrong in taking all other things are all dimensions of the society into consideration to understand a better understanding of the society. So scope can be explained using formal school and the synthetic school, and later, because it is only for the 10 marks, you just touch upon the perspectives of the sociology has enhanced the subject knowledge of the sociology, and the way it explains the society has enriched the understanding of the society. This is how you have to build or narrate the answer in a right way. Okay, sociology has unique scope because it is a synthesis of multiple disciplines, according to the Emile Durkheim, who advocated for the synthesis of synthetic school of thought, that combining the multiple disciplines into one subject, that is sociology, for a better understanding of the society. The narration should involve explaining formal school, explaining synthetic school, and also the perspectives, because the perspectives talks about the society in a multiple ways, like functionist argument is different, and the conflict perspective argument is different, and feminist argument about the society is different, and then postmodernist argument of society is different, and symbolic interactionist argument of society is different, and intersectionality also comes into picture. All these perspectives you have to build or narrate the answer using these perspectives. The scope of sociology is high or unique compared to any other social science. Okay, and that is what the second answer. And next, third is, what is the relationship, that is similarities and differences between sociology and history in terms of their area of study and the methodology. So you have to be very particular about area of study and the methodology. What kind of methods history follows in understanding of the society, what kind of methods the sociology follows in understanding of the society. The methodologies here are inductive and deductive methods. So here, generally, the sociology uses both inductive and deductive methods, and so history also uses both inductive and deductive methods. But mostly, history is more dependent on inductive methods, and history focuses more on the data, facts, and events, and understanding of the historical events as it is, without adding a color to it, or without understanding history from the multiple dimensions. But sociology focuses, or sociological understanding of the history is very important, because without understanding, there is a comment by G.E. Howard. G.E. Howard commented that history without sociology is fruitless, and sociology without history is rootless. That means history needs sociology to make it more fruitful, and sociology needs history for understanding of the society from historical ages. So that is what the relation between history and the sociology. And this is also a fundamental question. Most of the aspirants who have spent at least some time, or who have at least revised the sociology for 2 times, can answer this question easily. Okay, next chapter 2, sociology as science. So this is almost first time in the sociological optional history that more than 40 marks, around 50 marks are from the second chapter. And if you look at the pattern of the questions this year, from the first 3 chapters, 130 marks are from the first 3 chapters. And it's just all 3 chapters put together, it is not more than 50 pages of the content. And most of the students and the aspirants spends very less time on research methods and analysis, and most of you generally go wrong in writing answers about research methods and the analysis, because most of these answers will reflect generality rather than the sociological perspective. So here, now what UPSC is telling you, that you must be very strong in the foundation rather than understanding the thinkers and just dumping in the exam. No, it's not going to work in the future. That the historical or history shows that generally thinkers part is very, very important. But UPSC is, in last 3 to 4 years, UPSC is consistently telling you that not just thinkers. You have to be strong in the foundational, so that the foundational aspects of the sociology, so that is relevant to understand and observe the society. So theories are the most of the theories and the thinkers were old, and these theories and the thinkers may not be completely reflecting the present context of the society or present dynamics of the society. So you must be strong in understanding of the foundational aspects of this discipline, so that you can understand the dynamics of the subject. So that is the reason for increasing its weightage on the first three chapters. So you must understand whether sociology is a science or not, and if it is a science, what are the proofs or the arguments to prove that it is a science, and if it is not a science, what are the arguments that it is not a science. And you have to understand this sociology from these two angles, that if it is a science, what is the major reasons, or what are the major reasons. So in that context, the first question, and if you observe it keenly, two questions, the 40 marks are only one aspect. Answer the both questions have a similar answer. There is no big difference for these answers when you keenly observe these two questions. So the first question is, what is positivism? Critically analyze the major arguments against it. And you know that positivism is a concept, or the positivism is an ideology or a perspective in the sociology, which argues that a sociology can be like a natural science. Sociology can be like a natural science. You know that natural sciences are dependent on the cause and effect relationship. Natural sciences are actually dependent on cause and effect relationship. And the founding father of this sociology, Auguste Comte, believed that sociology can be built on the foundation of this cause and effect relationship. That means it can be like a natural science. And he also called sociology as a queen of sciences, and it is going to be the last sophisticated and the dynamic science exists in this domain of the sciences. So that is what the Auguste Comte believe. So positivism argues that sociology can be like a natural science, where it actually depends on the cause and effect relationship, and we can build this subject knowledge of the sociology on the foundations of cause and effect relationship. And in the natural sciences, you take example the mathematics, and a plus b whole square is equals to a square plus b square plus 2ab. It is a cause and effect relationship. And we can also have the natural sciences like physics, where E equals to mc square, always E equals to mc square, that is a cause and effect relationship. In the society also, we can build the sociology like cause and effect, using cause and effect relationship. So that is what the positivism, you have to explain the positivism using these assumptions that objectivity can be built, cause and effect relationship can be established, and reliability and validity of the subject can be established according to Auguste Comte. That is what the positivism is. And critically analyze the major arguments against it. The arguments against positivism are expressed by non-positivist methodologies like ethnomethodology, and phenomenology. We have dramaturgy, and we have symbolic interactionism by G.H. Mead, phenomenology by Alfred Skutch, Harold Garfinkel's ethnomethodology. All these non-positivist methodologies argues that we cannot build sociology as a natural science, or we cannot build the sociology on the basis of the cause and effect relationship, because the human beings have a consciousness, and we cannot deal with the conscious human beings like the natural sciences are dealing with the matter, which the matter has no consciousness. And the laboratory experimentation is possible in the natural sciences, but it is not possible in the human sciences. So, and human beings attach meanings according to the context and the situation, and there is no possibility of understanding the sociology like a natural sciences. So that the fundamental arguments are, there is no objectivity, there is a question of objectivity in the sociology, that is subjectivity is high in the understanding of the society. Subjectivity is high in understanding of the society. And there is no reliability or high reliability like the natural sciences. Reliability is difficult in the sociology, and validity also a little bit less than or more difficult compared to the natural sciences. So the arguments against is that the positivism or the natural science, the sociology as a natural science is not possible, and sociology as a social science is possible, but with a limitations and lot of limitations, and these limitations have to be overcome. And you can end this answer with a conclusion using Max Weber, that Max Weber is not a complete positivist and also not complete non-positivist. And Max Weber advocated the objectivity in sociology can be established using value neutrality in understanding of the society. And you can end this question with the Max Weber's comment of value neutrality can be established in the sociology using Wettstein approach and ideal types. And the second question, what is science? What is science? And do you think that the methods used in the natural sciences can be applied to sociology? Give reasons for your answer. It is directly the positivism. It is directly, second part of the question is directly a positivism. An introduction part is just you have to write the definition of the science and foundation of this science. So what is science? Systematic understanding of the society is science. So systematic understanding of the society is science, and science is founded on the observation, the data collection, that is observation, experimentation, classification, observation, experimentation or collection of the data, experimentation, collection of the data, and classification of the data, the collected data, and then generalization of this data for the larger perspective. That is what the science built upon. And most of the science, whatever the science believes is systematic understanding of any aspect in the be it in the natural sciences or be it in social sciences. Systematic understanding of a phenomena is called a science. And the systematic involves scientific method, that is observation, experimentation, classification and generalization. So this is what the second question is. And second part of the question is directly, in this question, second part of the question is directly, do you think that the methods used in the natural sciences can be applied to sociology? Is simply arguments in favor and against the positivism. Just you write whatever you have already written in the positivism in the second question, in the second part of the second question. Okay, and next. So research methods and analysis. Research methods and analysis. This is the third chapter. You know that this is important chapter, and most of the questions in this chapter, it's very fortunate that people who have spent the considerable amount of time on this particular chapter can score very well in especially this particular year. Though if you look at the questions are very direct. So what is a variable in sociological research or social research, and what are the different types? Elaborate. It's direct question from any class notes. You can find this direct question, that what is variable in social research, what are the different types? Elaborate. Even without reading this chapter, if you have just understanding of that kind's multivariate analysis, you can write a good answer for this particular question. Okay, so variable is a character or characteristic or an attribute of something, attribute or the characteristic of the something, like education, or it can be employment, it can be age, or it can be married or unmarried, or it can be the religion or locality, etc. And these are the variables in social research. And what is the importance of variable in social research is that the variable variable is important to understand a social phenomena by establishing a relationship. And if you just remind yourself multivariate analysis in Durkheim's Suicide, you can easily understand this particular topic and you can easily write good answer for this particular question. And what are the different types of variables? And variables can be divided into dependent variables and independent variables. Dependent variables and independent variables. Generally, independent variables are dependent on the dependent variables, and dependent variables changes whenever the variable changes in a different context. And this is generally easy question and 10 marks question, and you can easily write answer with the examples, and you can use Emile Durkheim's multivariate analysis in explaining these variables using the thinker's point. Okay. Next, what do you mean by reliability? What do you mean by reliability? Discuss the importance of reliability in social science research. What do you mean by reliability? Reliability means repeatability of the result, repeatability of the results, or consistency of the result. What do you mean by reliability? Means the consistency of the social outcome or social research outcome, the consistency of research outcome, or repeatability of the social research, or the outcomes are the result of the particular social research. The repeatability is the reliability. And discuss the importance of reliability in social science research. And it is general in nature that the importance of reliability. The generally any social science research, or any, for that matter, any science requires reliability. I mean, without reliability, we cannot establish the relationship, or we cannot say that, or we cannot formally say that this is actually happened in the society, or this is a right phenomena happened in the society. Take for example, to say that voting behavior in the society, generally the most of the middle class are not voting in the society. This is an hypothesis we can come up with. And this hypothesis, to prove this hypothesis, we have to collect the data on how many middle class people are voting in the elections. And one researcher found a solution, and one researcher found that most of the middle class are not voting in the Indian electoral system, or in the Indian elections. This is what one researcher found as a result. And other person in a different context and in different cities also did the same same research. It can be on the same aspect in the same city, or in the different cities in the different context, and the repeatability of this particular research is required for establishing the relationship between voting behavior and the people who are participating in the elections in the society. So here the importance of reliability in social research is reliability is the foundation of a science. Reliability is a foundation of the science, and reliability is important to establish the relationship, and reliability is important to build a theory, and reliability is important to prove hypothesis is right or wrong, and reliability is important to establish the objectivity in the sociology, and that is what the importance of reliability in social sciences. And next, the third question in the social research methods and analysis: what is sampling in the context of social research? And if you observe all questions, it's just simply easy and direct questions that what is variable in social research, what is sampling in the context of social research, and what is hypothesis. If you look at the four questions from this chapter, all the questions are direct questions. What is sampling in the context of social research? Third question, what is sampling in the context of social research? So sampling means it's just taking certain sample data, because you cannot go and interview the thousands and lakhs of people in the society. So you need a sample of data, or sample size, sample number of the people for understanding of the society, for understanding and for generalization of the findings to the whole society. So sampling in the context of social research means and collection of or taking a sample data or sample size of a better understanding of the larger section of the society, or patterns of relations, or patterns of a social phenomena in the society can be understood using the sample size of or collecting a data for sample size of the people. And next, discuss the different forms of sampling with the relative advantages and disadvantages. This is direct easy question that the sampling can be divided into probability sampling and the non-probability sampling. And the probability sampling can be further divided into simple random sampling and stratified sampling, cluster sampling, etc., etc. And non-probability sampling also can be divided into like snowball sampling, etc. Like that, sampling is very, very easy question, a direct question. Even the people who can read the sociology at least once or twice can write these answers. Advantages and disadvantages. It's a direct question, and you can easily score good marks in this particular sampling. Next, what is hypothesis? Hypothesis is a tentative statement. What is hypothesis? Hypothesis is a tentative statement to establish a relationship between two variables. Tentative statement, and should be empirically provable, testable. Empirically provable and testable. Hypothesis is a tentative statement. And critically evaluate the significance of hypothesis in social research. For any social research, hypothesis is a starting point. Without hypothesis, it's difficult to go for understanding of the society. Hypothesis is a starting point for any social research. And take, for example, if you want to understand the relation between the education and employment levels, or education and employment levels in the society, so we can, we have to build we have to come up with this hypothesis, that is a tentative statement, and how you have to understand this relation between education and employment. So like the hypothesis statement can be built, the people with the high skills are more employable. That is what the hypothesis statement. And to prove this, you have to link the education and skills and the how many people are employed with the higher education and the skills. So that's how this hypothesis statement, that is, hypothesis is necessary for the social understanding. This is actually a starting point to understand the social phenomena in the society, and that is what the symbol, this is also direct question, that what is hypothesis, and critically evaluate the significance of hypothesis. But here the critically evaluate, the question demand is critically evaluate. And sometimes the non-positivist methodologies argues that the hypothesis is not necessary, and it is not necessary, and hypothesis cannot be built in the society because they focus on micro aspects, and they believe that without understanding the micro aspects of the society, we cannot understand the society. And micro aspects, to understand the micro aspects, and we cannot have a hypothesis in understanding of the micro aspects. Take for example the phenomenology. So in the phenomenology, the way of looking at a particular phenomena is different from different people. So you take a transparent coffee shop, where two individuals are sitting. The one is a male and the female, and suddenly the power was off, and the candlelight was on. And in this situation, the power was on and the candlelight was on. And in this situation, the way the people look at this particular situation from the outside world depends on their own understanding or experience of life. That sometimes they may look at these two individuals as with a different ways, like they are friends, they are lovers, they are couples, or they are brother and sister, and they are the colleagues, etc. So that's, you cannot build a hypothesis on the particular social phenomena. This is what the non-positivist understanding, that is what the critically evaluation of this particular significance of hypothesis in social research. And next, the fourth chapter, sociological thinkers highlight the main features of historical materialism as propounded by Marx. How far is this theory relevant in understanding contemporary societies? And this is the foundational concept, and the historical materialism of Karl Marx. So you have to write, or you have to explain that the base structure, that is economic infrastructure, and social superstructure. And according to Marx, the economic infrastructure, or the base structure guides and directs and directs this social superstructure, and it is economical determinism or economic determinism. And he explained this historical materialism using laws of dialects or dialectical idealism of Hegel. And you have to explain that in the first part of the question, dialectical idealism of the Hegel. But that, the dialectical idealism, that is thesis and antithesis, and becomes a synthesis, and the synthesis will become a new thesis, and the dialectics always continues in the society using ideas. That is what propounded by the Hegel. And but Marx has changed this, and Marx has disagreed with the Hegel, and Marx proposed that it's a dialectical materialism, and he explained this dialectics using history, that is historical materialism. The dialectics comes into play where in the evolution of the history, from the primitive communism to the present capitalist society. And the future of this, the future is also the dialects will end in the communism. The laws of dialects will end in the communism according to Marx. That is the main features of historical materialism you have to explain in the first part of the question. How far is this theory relevant in understanding contemporary societies? Marx is relevant in understanding of the contemporary societies. Take for example the exploitation of the gig workers, a recent trend of laying off in the IT industry, and or curtailing the bargaining power of the employees, and corporate exploitation of the labor is dominant in the present context. And you can understand the present economic present society through like the unemployees, a reserved army of unemployees in the society, and exploitation of employees in the society, and paying less and extracting more, that is wage exploitation in the society. All these can prove that Marx is relevant in the contemporary society. Our historical materialism is still relevant in the contemporary society. That is, the base structure is determining the social superstructure. The base structure has forces of production and relations of production, and these forces of production and relations of production are guiding the social superstructure. That is, forces of production and relations of production. The people who are owners, that is masters, have dictated the terms of all society in the ancient slave society, and lords have dictated the terms for all the society in the feudal society, and bourgeoisie are dictating everything in the society by by owning the forces of production according to Marx. And that is even still relevant today. And if you look at the corporate bureaucratic nexus or corporate political nexus, or the collusive corruptions in the society, inequalities exist in the society, the higher inequalities exist in the society, all are still reflects the Marxist understanding. And in fact, the fight for the material resources within the families is also can be understood using this Marx, the historical materialism. That is, the material forces are driving the society. And however, and you have to write other sides of this. However, Marx was ignored. Marx ignored the role of technology or IT technology or digital media, and the role of the culture in the society, role of religion in the society. If you look at the present society or the politics of the present society, majorly the present politics of the society are dominated by the religion. Dominated by the religion, not just in India or not just in only few countries across the world. The right-wing politicians are leading in the society. The right-wing politicians are putting the religion or racism or kind of the national or hyper nationalism in the context. So that means he has ignored the other dimensions of the society or other dimensions in explaining the society. So the Marx, yes, Marx is still relevant. But however, Marx ignored, or Marx has not recognized the role of culture, role of religion, role of languages, role of other things in the society. And next, the second question is, how do theories of How do theories of Max Weber, the Karl Marx, Max Weber, and the Durkheim differ in understanding religion? Explain. So here, I have already explained that the religion, it might be from the religion chapter, it might be also from the thinkers chapter, and you can take it as a part of the thinkers chapter because they have elaborated in the thinkers. Their opinions and their perspectives were elaborated in the thinkers itself. The Marx has said that religion is opium of the people. Religion is opium of the people, and religion is actually dictated by the forces, the people who are owning, the people who are owning the forces of production. The contradictions in the society, are created by the material forces, and these material forces are actually dictating the religion, and the religion is leading to false consciousness in the society, according to Marx. So Marx sees that religion is opium of the society, and religion is leading to false consciousness in the society. For example, Marx sees religion as, so if you ask a question, a religious person, what is the reason for your poverty? And that person will say that because of my karma, because religion says that it is a karma. It is a karma, and it is it's your actions in the previous life, or your actions in the present life, or in your past, your actions have led to your problems. So that is what the understanding of the religion, or that is what Marx says, that it is opium, that you cannot think rationally, you cannot have a consciousness, and you will be in a false consciousness when you are too much religious, or when you are, when we are religious in the society. So that is what the Marxist understanding of religion. And Weberian understanding of religion, Weber says that the Protestant ethics and spirit of capitalism. In his theory of Protestant ethics and spirit of capitalism, he says that religion is a source, a religion, and in fact he rejected the Marxist understanding of the religion is opium, or religion, or the materialistic determinism of the history or the society. The Weber says that religion is cause of economic system, or the emergence of capitalism in the society. So he explained his religious view, or he explained his perspective on religion is that religion is source of the change. Religion is source of the change, and religion is a major source of the emergence of capitalism in the Europe, and especially the Protestantism, which believes on the inner worldly asceticism. Protestantism, which believes on inner worldly asceticism and rationality, and no mediators are necessary to realize the God. So the doctrine of calling, all these features he has explained. He built that the ideal type of Protestant ethics, and he linked with the ideal type of capitalism. So he explained the religion using Protestant ethics and spirit of capitalism. And Emile Durkheim explained this religion using elementary forms of religion from the Arunta tribes of Australian Aboriginals. And this Durkheim's understanding of religion is that religion has integrative force in the society. So in his totemism, Durkheim sees that the society can be divided into, or the religion can be divided into two things, that is the sacred and the profane. The sacred, in the name of worshipping the totem, that is, totem here means material representation of non-material forces. Totem here means material representation of non-material forces. By worshipping totem, by worshipping the sacred things in the society, you are worshipping the society itself. So his understanding of the religion is that religion has integrative force in the society. His understanding is that religion has integrative force in the society, and it ensures solidarity in the society, and he explained this solidarity and integration, our role of the religion in the society using this totemism, a totem of this Australian Aboriginals. That is the thesis, a theories of the Max Weber, Karl Marx, and the Durkheim. So you can write this using table format and the parameter approach, and you can also write using the flow or the, because it is for the 20 marks, you can write using the flow or the explain the concepts in paragraph, and you write the points a point format in the especially the ideas of these thinkers in the point format. Okay, and next, can Merton's reference group theory be relevant in understanding identity making in digital world? So third, this question, Merton's theory was asked in the current context, that is identity making in digital world. So you know that the Merton's reference group theory argues it. We have relative deprivation in the society, and we generally evaluate our performance and our status and our role in the society, our success in the society, our achievements in the society with some reference group in the society. It can be membership group or it can be non-membership group. That is what the understanding of Merton's reference group theory, and how it is relevant in understanding identity making in digital world. A lot of us are comparing with the people who are in the real world or who are in the digital world. It's like comparing the happiness of you with the people who are making the videos and are setting a standards that what is happiness in the society. Suppose you take the celebrations of birthday parties, celebrations of the festivals, celebrations of the marriages, etc., and they are hyping, or they are actually showing something to the world using these digital platforms or social media like Instagram, Facebook, etc., and society nowadays, they're comparing and estimating their enjoyments with the others, and they're estimating their the beauty standards with the others, and they're estimating their success with the others who are doing something in front of the cameras at the digital world. So the reference group theory is relevant in understanding of identity making in the digital world. You can use, or you can explain this particular question using the social media and the influence of the social media on the society. That influence is very, very high, that the beauty standards, the body standards, and the happiness standards, success standards, achievement standards, all are nowadays dictated by this the digital world, the social media, where everyone is comparing the performance, their experiences, their success, their achievements, etc., using this particular the digital world. And next, how does Weber's verse 10 address the objectivity subjectivity debate in sociology? So generally the Weber's verse 10 here simply means understanding. Verse 10 here means understanding. So Weber's verse 10 is to make sociology objective, and Weber recognized that subjectivity is there in understanding of the society. Because for Weber, the foundation of understanding of the society lies in understanding social action. Social action means which has the meanings attached in the action, and which is oriented towards other person. So the meanings attached by the actor have to be understood for understanding of the society. That means you have to go into the shoes of the actor to understand the meanings. And further, he has advocated the verse 10 approach. Western approach. And this Western approach, an interpretative approach, this is also called as interpretative understanding of the social phenomena. And objectivity subjectivity debate was resolved or addressed using this Western approach, that you have to understand the meanings attached by the actors by just going into the shoes of the actor. And you also have to, and the researcher has also needs to apply ideal types and value neutrality in understanding of the society, so that this Western can be used, or Western can be the resolved, or Western can be resolved this the objectivity and the subjectivity debate in the sociology. Okay, so objectivity, to ensure objectivity, we have to use ideal type, because this ideal type is also dependent on the Western, that is understanding of a social phenomena, because ideal types of the measuring rods are the constructive tools, are the mental constructs of the society, are the social phenomena, and those are dependent on the Western, that is understanding of a social phenomena. And the subjectivity can be resolved using Western approach by just going into the shoes of the actor and understanding the meanings attached with the actor in the social process. And next, the stratification and the mobility. Next concept is the stratification and the mobility. Stratification and mobility. This is also important chapter in the sociology paper 1. First question is the social stratification theory gender blind? Elucidate. So what does this social stratification theory, the gender blind? Is the social stratification theory gender blind? So social stratification theories can be divided into structural functionalist theories, Marxist theory, and Weberian theory. So structural functionalist theory, Marxist theory, and the Weberian theory. So structural functionalist theories, the major structural functionalist theories are like Talcott-Parsons, and Lloyd Warner, and Davis and Moore. And these three thinkers are the major structural functionalist theories. Apart from many thinkers are there, but these three are the major structural functionalist theories. And the Marxist, that the structural functionalist theories, Talcott-Parsons has included the gender dimension by saying that the instrumental roles are performed by males, and expressive roles are performed by females. Instrumental roles are performed by male, and expressive roles are performed by female. These roles are filled with the value consensus in the society. So that means, and they are actually natural in the social process. That according to Talcott-Parsons. So Talcott-Parsons is not a gender blind. Actually, Talcott-Parsons naturalized this gender inequalities exist in the society. But the Lloyd Warner and Davis Moore has ignored the gender dimension. Davis Moore had ignored the gender dimension, and Marx also ignored the gender dimension, because gender is secondary to the material determinism or economic determinism in understanding of the society. Weber also ignored the gender dimension, because his view of the stratification is that the Trinitarian view, that is a class, a status, and the party. So the social stratification theory is a gender blind according to the Davis and Moore, Karl Marx, and the Weber. But the later part of the stratification theories, like the Sylvia Walby, our feminist understanding of the stratification, covered gender, and they have extensively used gender dimension understanding of the stratification. So that is how you have to build the answer. And you start with the Talcott-Parsons and the Lloyd Warner and the Davis and Moore, Karl Marx, and the Max Weber's understanding of the stratification, and you extend it to the Sylvia Walby in a later part. Our feminists have started a feminist theory of stratification, has added this particular gender as a major dimension of the stratification, and especially you touch upon Sylvia Walby patriarchal structure, 6 patriarchal structures, and use the six patriarchal structures to explain the stratification theory on the basis of gender. Okay, and next, Next, does the structural functionalist perspective on social stratification promote a status quo? Give reasons for your answer. Does does the structural functionalist perspective on social stratification promote a status quo? Give reasons for your answer. Give reasons for your answer. So does the structural functionalist perspective on social stratification promotes a status quo? Give reasons for your answer. So here, structural functionalist perspective. Just now I have explained who are the structural functionalists. Talcott Parson is a structural functionalist. Talcott Parson and Lloyd Warner is a structural functionalist. And then we have Davis and Moore are structural functionalists. The major arguments of all these the structural functionalists is that the gender discrimination or gender differences or gender inequality in the society is natural, and that according to Talcott Parson, and it is the society which is filling the roles, and through the value consensus society is filling the roles according to Talcott Parsons. And Lloyd has actually supported the Talcott Parson, and inequalities exist in the society are natural, and it's a society which is actually by default, and society is ensuring which places are the right for different kinds of people and which places are actually filled by the different people. And Davis and Moore, according to Davis and Moore, the most important positions are occupied by the important people, and these important positions requires a lot of effort, energy, and the importance or a training is required, that motivation is required to do the particular important positions in the society. So he justified the existence of inequalities in the society. That means structural functionalist argument is that they are now supporting the status quoism in the society. That is, existence of inequalities in the society are natural and they are required for the society. And all these inequalities were for the functional necessity of the society according to structural functionalist perspective. And this inequalities exist in the society, or stratification exists in the society, or stratification is the functional necessity of the society according to structural functionalists. That means they legitimize the differences in the society. They legitimize the structural inequalities in the society. Stratification here means structural inequalities. They legitimize the structural inequalities exist in the society. So that is what the give reasons means. You have to explain Talcott Parsons, Lloyd, and Davis and Moore, and how they have justified this existence of structural inequalities in the society. So the Talcott Parsons justified gender inequalities, and the Lloyd has justified the class inequalities in the society. Davis and Moore has justified the hierarchy in the society, justified unequal access to the resources in the society, unequal access to the positions in the society, or unequal opportunities in the society are because of the existence or because of the need of the society according to Davis and Moore. So they have actually promoted, or they have supported the existence of inequalities in the society. That means status quoism was actually promoted by or supported by this functionalist, structural functionalist. And next, compare capability deprivation approach with that of social capital deprivation, understanding chronic poverty. The chronic poverty is generally the vicious cycle of poverty for the long time. It's a long-term poverty. Chronic poverty is a long-term poverty and long-term absolute poverty, and it's a vicious cycle. So here the compare capability deprivation approach. That means capability deprivation approach generally supported are given by the Amartya Sen, the famous Nobel laureate in economy. The Amartya Sen has talked about this capability deprivation approach. Capability means the multiple capabilities are capacities. The capacities can be developed, or capacities can be get from having a good education and good healthcare facilities and the skills. So by giving these capacities and the capabilities to the people, we can eliminate the poverty. This is what the essence of this capability approach. Here the capability deprivation means denying the educational facilities, denying the healthcare facilities, and denying our access to this skilling and etc. is a capability deprivation approach. And that is actually there is a relationship with the social capital deprivation. Social capital deprivation, here you can use the Pierre Bourdieu's social capital and symbolic capital, the economic capital and cultural capital. In that the people, this Pierre Bourdieu thinks that this Pierre Bourdieu's argument is that social capital is very, very important in the society, and social capital here means the networks in the society. So if you deny, or if you deny the social capital, that is, you don't have, if you don't have a social networks or the social contacts in the society, I mean, there is a high chance that your all other capacities, even if you have a capability in terms of education, etc., there is high chance that if you don't have networks in the society and you experience a poverty for a long time. That means a chronic poverty is actually dependent on both, there is a relationship between capability deprivation and the social capital deprivation. In this question, you have to first explain capability deprivation. What is capability deprivation? That means denying of the education, healthcare, and the skilling, etc. And social capital deprivation, you have to explain social capital deprivation using Pierre Bourdieu's concept, that is social networks and social contacts. And after that, you have to link this social deprivation, social capital deprivation, and like the capability deprivation to the chronic poverty or existence of chronic poverty or vicious cycle of this chronic poverty in the society. And next, work and economic life. So in that, the critically analyze sociological significance of informal sector in the economy of developing society. Significance of informal sector in the economy of developing societies. You know that developing societies are heavily dependent on this informal sector. Let's take India as an example. More than 85% of Indian society or Indian economy is dependent on the informal sector. You know that. So informal sector is very, very significant in the developing societies. Informal sector is very significant in the developing societies. Why informal sector is very significant in the developing societies? You can write using the Keith Hart, the person who coined this word informal sector or informal organization of work or unorganized work. The Keith Hart argues that this informal sector is very important in the developing societies, and it was also popular in the developing societies because there is this informal sector is generally the basic features of this informal sector is an advantage for the economy. The basic features are here: easy entry and easy exit, easy entry and easy exit, and no rules, and very less rules, or no obligations are less obligations in the society. And in fact, and this informal sector is more focused on immigrant labor. It is more focused on immigrant labor, and most of this immigrant labor, it is actually win-win situation for the both immigrant labor and the people who are employing these people. So like it means easy entry and easy exit, and the very less rules or the no rules, and immigrant focused, that means developing societies, the migration is high in the developing societies, and people, the developing societies it's a need or the win-win situation for the economy and also for the people in the developing societies. That is the reason for existence or increasing informal sector in the economy. And apart from that, in the developing societies like India, and there is a shift in the mode of the economic systems. Like after the LPG reforms, informal sector growth has increased in India. After the LPG reforms, informal sector growth has increased in India, and generally the sociological significance talks about it is because of the dependency culture created by the West, and that is according to the Gunder Frank or Emmanuel Wallerstein, that these things, the informal sector growth in India is can be associated with the West domination or exploitation of the West of these third world countries or developing societies. Okay, that's how you have to build a narrative about this particular answer. And next, do you think that the formal workspaces are free of gender bias? Argue your case. And this is easy question. That the formal workspaces are free of gender bias. free of gender bias. Formal workspaces means the formal workspaces are actually organized using the rules. Formal workspaces are actually organized using rules and regulations. Formal workspaces are organized using rules and regulations. So here the rules and regulations, the formal workspaces are dependent on the rules and regulations. And you know that the freedom was there in the formal regulation, formal workspaces. That freedom for the all employees is there. And there is, there are rules to guide the career growth, and there is a systematic recruitment process. There is a systematic recruitment process and the task specialization, and that is what the formal workspaces are characterized by. And however, do you think that these formal workspaces are free of gender bias? That is a question. The gender free from gender bias. That means there is no gender inequalities exist in the formal workspaces? So that is a question. So here you can understand that even these formal workspaces are not free from gender bias, and you can understand this from the wage differences in the even formal workspaces, wage gaps in the wager gaps on the basis of the gender, wage gaps on the basis of gender. The glass ceiling effect, and glass cliff effect. Glass ceiling and the glass cliff effect, where the women were deliberately suppressed from having a promotions or reaching the higher positions in the society. And glass cliff is that the women were generally allocated the sometimes difficult positions, so that their positions can be degraded, or their importance in this particular organizations can be degraded in the society. That is what the wage gaps exist in the society, glass ceiling and the glass cliff exists in the society, and especially even in the formal workspaces, and the sexual harassment at workplaces. Sexual harassment at workplaces exists in the formal workspaces. Sexual harassment at workplaces, even though we have a lot of provisions to protect the women in the formal workspaces, and still that exists. We have a maternity leave, 26 weeks of maternity leave is there in the formal workspaces, but despite that, women were discriminated. That means there is no we cannot completely say that even in the formal workspaces the gender is predominant, and gender is actually playing important role in the formal workspaces. And here you can quote Sylvia Walby's the public patriarchy or increasing public patriarchy. You can quote with the Sylvia Walby. And you can also say that the Karuna Ahmad's idea of the increasing the unemployment among educated women, and the women were concentrated in the pink collar jobs, highly concentrated in the pink collar jobs, shows that even formal workspaces are not free of gender bias in the society. That is how we have to narrate the answer. And next, politics in the society. What would you identify as the similarities and differences in the elite theories of Mosca, Michels, and Pareto? So here discuss their main and crucial issues. All these theories, all these thinkers talks about the elite circulation in the society. Mosca talked about the ruled majority and the ruling minority. Mosca talks about ruled majority and the ruling minority, and this ruling minority are circulating. The ruling minorities are circulating using this political power, using this political ideologies and the power, and this is circulating in the society. And Robert Michels talks about iron law of oligarchy. Iron law of oligarchy. That means the power by few, or the rule by few. It's the same argument, that is rule by few. And Pareto talks about there are two the categories of the people exist in the society. The one is the lions and the other is foxes. Lions with the force, a sheer force, and foxes with the cunningness. Lions with the sheer force and foxes with the cunningness, lions with the force and foxes with the cunningness, society, and these two categories of the people are circulating in the society, and it is a direct question that you can easily write answer using this, the basic understanding of this elite theories. These are classical elite theories. Elite theories, especially, other than the Robert Mitchell's, other two. The Robert Mitchell's is actually pluralist theory, pluralist thinker, but he also talked about a few sections of the society are controlling the. Robert Mitchell says that only few ruling classes or the few sections of society are controlling the society. The few people are enjoying the power in the society. That few is always exist in all kinds of societies, even in a democratic societies. That is what the iron law of oligarchy. Okay. And next, are pressure groups a threat to or a necessary element of democracy? Explain with suitable illustrations. That means you have to explain whether pressure groups are threat or important for the democracy. Democracy. So both are true. Because of the pressure groups, the democracies are functioning well, because the checks on the checks on the force or political power or some majoritarian forces in the society. Because the democracy is led by majority, the pressure groups checks on the majority power in the society. The pressure groups checks on the democracies or majority power in the democracy, which can become a tyranny in the society. And pressure groups also increases awareness in the society. Pressure groups educate the people. Pressure groups mobilize the people against any force from this majority rulers in the society. And however, they help in checking the tyranny in the society. They help in checking the democratic democratic abusiveness in the society. And at the same time, it's a threat to democracy, because sometimes the pressure groups acts with the parochial interests in the society. Pressure groups act with the parochial interests in the society, the narrow interests in the society. Sometimes they may stall or they may go for subverting the society with a different kind of ideological leanings. From Indian context, we can understand from the like Greenpeace, etc. These pressure groups have intentionally or sometimes deliberately stopped the growth of this country. That is what the narratives happening in the society. So we can say that the pressure groups are both a threat and also advantages for or enriching or element of the basic elements which can act as a necessary part of the democracy. And next, how do civil society organizations such as NGOs and self-help groups contribute to grassroots level social changes? And this is actually kind of pressure group question only. And in this civil society organizations such as NGOs and self-help groups, generally they mobilize the people, they increase the awareness among the people in the grassroots societies. And it's an easy question that NGOs and self-help groups, they mobilize, they educate, they bring awareness, and they bring social participation, participation in the society. And it's a bottom-up kind of a progress in the society can be established with the civil society organizations, NGOs and self-help groups participation in the grassroots level social changes. And they can bring a lot of changes, and they can give, they'll give voice to the voiceless people. They give voice to the voiceless people like lower caste, the black people in America, or the backward communities, or different ethnic groups, or backward ethnic groups in different societies of the world can be given a support by these civil society organizations. So by that, how do the civil society organizations such as NGOs and self-help groups contribute to grassroots level social changes? That means grassroots level social changes. If you look at the lot of NGOs, in fact, we have Pratham in education. Okay, we have the Greenpeace as in the part of in areas of environmentalism, environmental conservatism. And we have a lot of organizations which are working for like Bachpan Bachao Andolan for protection of the children from the child labor, etc., etc. And a lot of organizations are, in fact, self-help groups are bringing the gender equality in the society, gender empowerment or women empowerment in the society. And this is how the grassroots, the civil society organizations, NGOs, and self-help groups contribute to grassroots level social changes. Okay, so you may think that this is, what is the difference in what is the difference between general studies answer and the sociological answer. Here you have to write the perspectives, like you have to bring Karl Marx in understanding of the NGOs and self-help groups. How you can bring Karl Marx in understanding of NGOs and self-help groups. And Karl Marx will say that, or Karl Marx would say that the NGOs and self-help groups are tools are created by the haves of the society for exploiting the have-nots of the society. Like that, the interpretative is, you can bring symbolic interaction into the context and feminist argument into the context, because most of the NGOs are actually are dominated by the male population. That means women have less role in this the NGOs, and most of the NGOs are dominated by male, and male are controlling this civil society organizations according to feminist argument. And you can also bring postmodernists into the context, and postmodernists would argue that, and the NGOs and the self-help groups not always working for the betterment of the society, are bringing social changes or positive changes in the society, and these are actually contextual in the nature, that in different situations or different contexts, and their social change or their impact is dependent. That is what the postmodernist argument, like the Michael Foucault. Okay, and next, or Mitchell Foucault. And next, how can you assess the significance of social movements in digital era? Significance of social movements in digital era. Significance of social movements in digital era. So social movements, earlier social movements, most of the social movements were dependent on the spreading of their ideas or spreading of their movement, or all social movements have some objective to realize, or the goal to realize. And these objectives or the goals in the spreading of these goals and ideas, and the leadership has to work, and most of this spreading used to happen through the offline modes. But in the digital era, the mobilization is easy, and digital era, the mobilization is possible with just a click. Just a click, the mobilization is possible in this digital era through social media. Like, the best example here is the Me Too movement. The Me Too movement, or climate justice movement by the Greta Thunberg, the climate justice movement, or Me Too movement. Me Too movement can be best example that in a digital era, the social movements the mobilization of the people is the easy in the digital era. Mobilization of the people is very easy in the digital era. And also, the leadership or there is no difficulty for the leadership here, because we can easily organize, and you can easily organize in this digital era. And the ending of this, sometimes you have to bring other perspectives in this particular answer. You can bring the conflict perspective here, you can bring feminist perspective, and how certain the moments, the social moments in the digital era are suppressed by the dominant media or the Western media, and how certain movements were more popularized by the Western media. That you can also bring here Emmanuel Wallerstein in understanding of the Western domination in the society. Too much dependence on the digital era, or the medium for expressing the grievance is actually controlled by the people who are controlling the digital media, or the source of this internet. Okay, and next, religion and society, religion and society, the class. Religion and society. What is the nature of relationship between science and religion in modern society? Analyze with the suitable examples. Here, what is the nature of relationship between science and religion in modern society? Here, so generally, what we look at, generally we look at science and religion as two opposite ends. They are antonyms. The religion, science and religion is opposite to each other. But the relationship here is, the nature of relationship in the modern world, or the nature of relationship in the modern society here is, they are not actually separate or antonyms, and they're actually the complementing each other. and the coexistence of these two can be seen in modern society. The coexistence of both science and religion can be seen in the modern society. In all aspects of the modern society, though the secularization, the phenomena of secularization is happening, secularization is happening. That means we are maintaining distance from the religion in multiple aspects like politics and other aspects of the society. But despite that, religion is playing a very important role in the society, and science is not completely dominant in the society, and we have integrated, or we have complementing, our science and religion is complementing each other in the understanding, or in the modern society. The power dynamics are dependent on both science and the religion in the society, and families are actually using both science and religion in the society, and one's life or individual behavior or individual life is also dependent on both science and religion in the society. And most of the organizations, and we take the example from the ISRO, whenever they launch a new rocket or something, a new project, they go to the Tirumala, and their idea is that we should not give any chance, or any chance to the religion or the god, any chance to the god to play, to downplay or to affect the success chances of the a project. So this is how the nature of relation between the science and religion. So you argue that science is built on the systematic understanding, observation, experimentation, classification and generalization, and religion is built on the common sense, and religion is built on the experience and faith and belief. But however, the science and religion are complementing each other in the modern society. We cannot separate religion and the science. Religion is ensuring integration in the society according to Durkheim. However, science is also ensuring integration in the society. And science is giving you certain solutions to your problems, and religion is also giving you solutions to your problems. And science is guiding you in your life, and religion is also guiding you in your life. That means both are complementing each other, and we should not look at science and religion from the opposite or antagonistic nature. We should look at science and religion from a complementary approach. Okay, we should look at the science and religion from complementary approach, and this is what religion and society.